Greetings everyone from Bead 326. In this last part of the course, the last third of the course, we're going to focus our attention on these topics: the medieval worldview, and then the scientific revolution, and then we move into a brief look at the American Revolution and the French Revolution. And so what I'm going to try to do today is record a couple of mini lectures. They'll each be around 10 minutes long or so to set us up for our look at the scientific revolution. So we're going to use some board work, and I think you'll be able to follow along. And this is a way for me to maybe communicate a little bit more directly with you. So we'll see how this works. So here we go. We have the medieval worldview. Now, it's important to understand that throughout most of human history, this is the way people looked at the world. The scientific revolution in the long arc of human history happened just yesterday, and that would be the 17th and the 18th centuries. So throughout the history of mankind, throughout almost all of the history of mankind, this is how people looked at the world, at the universe. In the middle of everything was, of course, where people lived. And that was the earth. Now, what they believed is that all things in the heavens revolved around the earth in these perfect spheres. You're going to see a model of the perfect spheres in a PowerPoint that you're going to look at. So this is where the sun was. This is where the moon was. And they believed that this universe that you see contained here was a finite universe. Because outside of these spheres was where heaven was located. Now, in their religious notions, heaven had to be an exact place. Different from earth, obviously, but it had to be in a particular location. So that's where heaven was, according to their worldview. Now, what we want to ask ourselves is this question: why did this way of looking at the universe in our solar system last for so long? Why was it so compelling? Here's one reason. Tradition, going back to as far as an ancient philosopher named Aristotle, that I'm sure you've heard of. In the Middle Ages, he becomes an authority used by the Catholic Church to explain things that Christians believe in. And Aristotle thought that this is the way it was. And so you have tradition. People are just going to follow what's been taught before. Here's a second reason, and this is a very important one. This view of the world had religious authority backing it up. And the church, now we're talking about the Roman Catholic Church in the Middle Ages, was very prestigious. They controlled the educational system, and so this is what the church believed. And if you question that, of course, you might get in trouble. Here's a third reason. It's people-centered. This appeals to human nature. So this is the anthropomorphic side of it. It's very natural for us, since we live on this globe, to want to believe that we're the most important thing in the entire universe. That's really all we know. And so this strokes our ego, if you will. It appeals to our human nature. Now, here's a fourth reason. This one might be the most important one. So I like to ride bike a lot. I look at my phone to check, which way the wind is blowing, how strong it's going to be. And so this time of year, when you look at your phone, it's going to tell you that at about 7 a.m. in the east, the sun is going to rise. And then in April, this time of year, over in the west, at about 8 o'clock at night, the sun is going to set. So we still use those terms to refer what's happening. Now, scientifically, we know that that is not what's happening. What's actually happening is the earth is moving, but we don't have a sense of it moving. So nobody's going to go out to Lewis and Clark Lake tonight on a date, making sure you stay 6 feet apart, of course, but no one's going to look at that sky in the west and say, gosh, isn't that a beautiful earth turn tonight? If you use that phrase, that would probably be your last date. So we use a poetic way to refer to what nature is doing, how the universe is operating, rather than scientific terminology, because that's the way it looks to us. And so maybe the most powerful reason that this worldview hung on for so long is sense perception. That's the way it looks, and everyone wants to believe that they can trust their sense perception. So this is the way people looked at the world for most of human existence. We call it the medieval worldview. Puts the earth at the center, which is a geocentric way of looking at it. And it lasted for a long time because it had all these things going for it: tradition, religious authority. It stroked the human ego, put us at the middle. And then maybe even more important than all the others is sense perception. People looked at it because this is how it seemed to be according to our sense perception. This is how it looked. So that's our mini lecture on the medieval worldview.